Hello, everyone. Matthew Schwab here with Matthew Schwab Speaks with another episode of Matthew Schwab Listens. Today, I am interviewing Sarah Mulligan. She is the executive director of the Down Syndrome Affiliates in Action. Sarah, would you please tell our audience what is the DSAIA?
I would be happy to. It's Down Syndrome Affiliates in Action, which means that our members, we're a membership organization, and our members are local, state, and regional Down syndrome associations all over the country. And we have a couple international members too. And our job is to give the local organizations the skills, the tools, the connections they need to do what is needed in their own community. So we spend a lot of time helping people raise funds and create really fun programs for folks and really kind of help make sure that their organization is well run and well known in their communities.
That is definitely amazing work. I've been to the last year's conference and it was awesome. It was fun representing North Carolina. Can you please tell our audience a bit why the annual conferences are important?
Absolutely. It's a gathering of about 200 leaders from around the country. And it's really one of the very few times that we get to connect face to face. It's 3 days of incredible workshops and sessions, and an opportunity to kind of gain some new skills, meet people who work in a position similar to yours, and just really it's like almost a reunion of leaders. We really value the time to get together in person, and we have amazing exhibitors, one of whom is on this podcast with me. We're happy to have you, Matthew. And it's a fun conference, but it's pretty intense in the sense that it's a lot of information and resources that are being shared.
Yes, because it's not just the programming and the finances involved. Is also in community connections as a vital part of that because the DSAs can operate without the community aspect, but that'd be exclusive and they want every level of disability inclusivity. So
Absolutely.
and part of that is having healthy connections from the DSAs to their local GC's pals if they have any. Can you tell us
Absolutely.
the importance between the connection between a GC's playhouse and a DSA?
I can. Gigi's Playhouse is an example of programs and services that are offered to individuals with Down syndrome and their families. And I think our role within the Down syndrome affiliate community is to really help build connections with organizations like Gigi's, but all organizations that serve individuals with disabilities, and particularly those that serve individuals with Down syndrome. I think you're right in the sense that when we exist in a community, it's really important to build strong relationships and connections with all of the disability providers in that community so that we do a good job of doing what we do, knowing what they do, and making sure everybody gets to do the best that work that they can.
Definitely. Um, I know you have 4 kids, two who have Down syndrome. Will you please tell us about your family?
I would be happy to. My oldest daughter she's now 27 and she lives in Utah. My next one just moved to college in Bellingham, Washington, and she is 18. And then my 16-year-old is a freshman in high school. She has Down syndrome and she's fully included in the regular curriculum of her high school. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, she is the only individual with Down syndrome and the only individual with an intellectual disability in her high school. Our community tends to bring kids with disabilities into more of a segregated setting. And we really wanted Jung to have the experience of being a typical high school child. And she is having that experience. She's loving every minute of high school. And then my youngest is 14 and he is in middle school. And he has some specific health challenges. He has a heart condition and he has a lot of other related disabilities. Things are a little bit harder for him, but we're really happy to see him happy at school, and he just started doing gymnastics, and so all is well in our households.
Awesome. So, what brought you to DSAIA?
Well, as you can tell from my family composition, I have been part of the Down syndrome community for a very long time. And I have been involved as the executive director of a number of nonprofit organizations. And the opportunity to work with DSAIA kind of combined my love of being a nonprofit executive director and my knowledge and awareness of how important the DSAs are around the country. So it was just kind of a nice match. And I was hired in June of 2020, and I can honestly say I've loved every minute of this. It's an enormously cool community, and I feel so privileged to see the amazing work that's being done around the country, and I get like a little bird's eye view.
That is definitely amazing work that you do there. One of the episodes I did on Matthew Schwab Listens is on YouTube, and interviewed former executive director of the North Carolina Down Syndrome Alliance, now secretary for Down Syndrome Affiliates in Action, Christina Reeves.
Right. All right. She's a good friend and a good support person.
Y- Yes. So how did the SAIA get founded?
It's really interesting because a number of leaders were at a different conference and they happened to get together and literally said, we need to really be support for each other. We need to have a way that we can share ideas and learn from each other. And we think we need our own organization. And literally, it was just a conversation among a handful of people. And before you knew it, DSAIA was born and started having conferences. And that initial idea that we want to get together, we want to have a sort of formal way that we can share information and support each other is really the heart of what we do today. So it's
Yes.
almost 12 years old, and we are running strong, doing the same things that made people start the organization.
That's definitely amazing, and that speaks true to the evolution of disability inclusivity. Because when I was born in 1997, there's like barely nothing. I mean, the only stuff out there were like support groups and sometimes an occasional workshop here and there, but it usually takes place in a mundane environment like the hospital.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that was not good. So luckily, my mom, Michelle Schwab, and a few other moms, including my fiance's mom, because of that upbringing, they've they started to and created the now North Carolina Down Syndrome Alliance, which was at the time previously known as the Triangle Down Syndrome Network.
Right, right. It's amazing. We've come a long way, but we still have a lot to do.
Yes, there's a lot more work to do. There's a lot to change, a lot to advocate for.
Yes, I agree.
Yes. What do you think is the biggest misconception of Down syndrome?
Mm. For me, and I guess I say this very, very personally, I think there's an idea that all individuals with Down syndrome are the same. We hear things like, "Oh, people with Down syndrome are so happy, they're so
Oh,
joyful,
yes.
they're so fun to be around," and you know, it irks me as a person because everybody with Down syndrome, well, every person in the world is unique, and
Yes.
Oh, no, I think I've lost you.
Oh,
Do you
I'm
still?
here.
Oh, you're back. Okay. So every person is unique. And I think that we really, as part of the Down syndrome community, need to keep saying to people, recognize each individual as an individual and don't make those global assumptions that we're all the same and that we all behave the same and act the same and smile the same. And that's just not true. And in my own family, I have two children with Down syndrome who could not be more different. They each have their own strengths and their own challenges, but what I want the world to know is that every individual with Down syndrome is unique. And let's not make those global assumptions about um, any of us.
True, true. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that people with Down syndrome can't have can't be employed, and when they are employed, they don't get to have meaningful employment. I mean, 80% of individuals with disabilities are unemployed, and the
Yeah,
20% that are employed, most of them are underemployed, and
under.
that's not good at all because either they're spending more time on the road because of unreliable transportation, and they have very short hours in their shifts.
Yeah, it's tough. That's a
Yeah,
huge problem for so many of us. Yeah.
yep. I'm even I'm trying to even figure out what I should do for my for my second part-time job because currently is that slow time of year for restaurants. So the restaurant that I work at is has me barely working. So I need a second part-time job because I got an apartment to take care of, like all the rent and bills, but it's
Right.
more important to me now because it's not just the apartment that I had to keep up going. That I need to save up money for my marriage.
I was going to say, I think a marriage might be part of that.
Yes, it
Absolutely.
is. And so now we got the fun, the serious questions out of the way. Let's do some just for fun ones.
Okay.
What? So, are you a morning person or a night owl?
Ooh, lately I've been both. Mostly I'm a morning person. I love to get things going quickly. But when I'm really busy, I'm being the late night owl as well. And with the conference coming in a month, I'm really busy.
Oh, yes. For me, I'm kind of now leaning towards a little bit of both because I used to wake up early in the morning, like 7 a.m. Now I sleep at the latest until like the latest is 10 a.m. and the earliest for me is like 8:30
Wow.
a.m. and I usually go to bed at a reasonable hour, somewhere between about like 7:30 and 9 p.m. range on a normal day. But if it's a special occasion like New Year's Eve or anything like that, like those people who always love to drink until way past 3 a.m. That's not me. I stay up until a reasonable hour, like stay up until midnight and then go to bed.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yes. What is your favorite holiday tradition?
Oh, it's a Christmas one, I think. And that is my family, at the very beginning of December, we make a old-fashioned paper chain, where you take strips of paper and you glue them together.
Yes.
And on every strip, we write the name of someone that we want to think about all through the holidays. So sometimes it's one of the kids' teachers or a relative or their best friends.
Oh,
And
wow.
then this long, 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 long chain is hung up in our house. So all through the holidays, we get to look at it and remember the people that have made an impression on us or that we're very, very close to. And sometimes even the pets get added to the links. And it's just kind of a constant reminder that we're part of a bigger community.
That's awesome. That is definitely a great way to celebrate Christmas. So for me, for my family, for over 15 years, we have been doing this tradition where we, for Christmas Eve, for dinner, we do cheese fondue, and for dessert, chocolate fondue.
Love it. That sounds fabulous.
Yes, you should try it.
I will. I will.
All right. Mm, What what do you wish someone taught you a long time ago?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's not fun. Um, Let me think. I guess it would have to be how to make room in my daily schedule for some fun. Just have a little bit more time to just do nothing work-wise, nothing, intense, but just have a little bit of fun because especially when I get busy and, we've got have to take one kid to gymnastics and one kid to cello and
Yeah.
it just sometimes feels like the day goes by and we never had a little bit of playtime. And I think that's one thing I wish somebody had really helped me understand is how important playtime is. And every once in a while I look at the week and think, wait a minute, we haven't had a chance to play. That's awful. So that would be probably it.
Yeah, that's a consequence of being an adult, no matter of being a parent or not. Just being an adult is very taxing mentally. Mm,
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, because for me, I'm 26 years old, and I know I'm 26 years old, but it feels like I'm I'm young, but my brain says otherwise. My brain says that I'm older because
Yeah,
I got a lot to take care of. Like I got my family, my fiance, and listen, her family, because her family is gonna be my family, my apartment, my work, and even the Gigi's Playhouse because about just about mm, almost 7 months ago or so ago, I just got voted in on the board of management for the Raleigh Playhouse. So I'm doing a whole lot of work with them.
that's amazing. Good for you.
Thanks.
Being on a board is a very special role. You have a lot of opportunities to make a difference, and I think
True. Yeah.
it's really awesome.
Yeah. I had board experiences before that. I was on the Generation G youth board for a while for our Raleigh Playhouse. In fact, one of the person I created our Generation G youth board single-handedly together. And
That's amazing.
yes, that was a fun experience. And my upbringing, that was my mom, and she was Schwab because she was one of the ones on this GARB committee for our Raleigh Playhouse, and and still is our vice president for the Playhouse.
Cool.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
very. What was your dream job as a child?
What, say that again?
What was your dream job as a child?
Oh, it's this one, executive director. I love when you're the executive director, you have a lot of responsibilities, but you also have a lot of connections with people and you get to see how different people approach the same issues. And so right now, one of my favorite things to do is I just feel like, gosh, I get to see what Arkansas is doing and then maybe what California is doing. And there's something cool happening in Boston and Seattle it just, there's so much going on. And I love to be in the position of just being able to have all that information and connections to all those people. It's really, really fun. Can't imagine anything more fun.
Yeah, that I'd have to agree with you on that. My dream job when I was a kid, what was mm, working as a night watchman at the Smithsonian, and at the time, night at the museum. But I was the Smithsonian. I was so big in the night museum trilogy when the second movie came out. It's like I had to work there, and then I went there with my family and went to into the Smithsonian Institution where they filmed it, and then and I saw there's no gate of the underworld. Like, oh God, and I literally crushed my dreams. And and so the funny thing was that so I wanted that job so bad back then that I even as a kid I started to apply for a
Oh,
job there, but my parents caught me in the middle of doing that, and there's another occasion like The Voice, and so
yeah.
as a kid I always loved singing recreationally, and I thought I had a really good awesome voice, and so I kept saying that to myself, convincing myself I had a great and awesome voice. So I went on to the voice.com, wherever, and I started to apply for an audition for The Voice. But my parents caught me in the middle of it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was a little troublesome in trying to get my dream back then.
I love it. Always need to chase your dreams.
Definitely. What is one thing you'd like our audience to know about people with Down syndrome?
Well, I guess I would say, in addition to what I said earlier about everybody being an individual, I think I I get worried sometimes that people underestimate the skills and abilities with people with Down syndrome. They see that the person has Down syndrome and they think, well, they probably can't do have a job. They probably can't drive a car. They probably can't do all these things. And I guess my biggest thing would be I want you to know that individuals with Down syndrome can, and just kind of go at approach them with the perspective that there's just no limit to what an individual with Down syndrome can do. And I certainly hope for, personally for my own two children, that people will look at them and see their strengths and recognize how really incredible they are, instead of saying, oh, because they have Down syndrome, they probably can't do whatever. I really want the best for my children, and I want people to really kind of recognize and see examples of all the many things we can do.
Yeah, definitely, I definitely agree with you on there. Is there anything else you'd like the audience to know about DSAIA?
Well, yeah, I guess I think one thing that really always comes across to me is the value of learning from each other. And so if you are part of a local Down syndrome affiliate, I would really encourage you to connect with DSAIA and really make it a point to learn from others, learn about what else is going on, because I think it's just a wealth of information, and we all need to kind of keep our focus on doing as much as we possibly can to create communities that are inclusive of people with Down syndrome. And I think the best way to do that is to look at what's working and try to do that in our communities, and try to really kind of make connections with people that can inform what you do, but also inspire what you do. And I think DSAIA is really known for being that type of an organization. So I think that's what I would encourage people to do, is to make really use DSAIA to make those really important connections.
Definitely. And so pretend you're interviewing me was something you'd ask me.
Ooh, I love that question.
Thanks.
Well, I think what uh, I have so many curiosities. I'm curious about your wedding. I'm curious about how you're going to be, kind of how you're going to be seeing yourself in the future. And I guess what I'd like to hear is, if you just had a little crystal ball and maybe like 3 years from now, what would you be doing in 3 years?
So I'm glad you asked that, because that's one of the most common things that people ask me when I talk about my future with my fiance. And so the first goal, I mean, of course, marriage, but it is a long engagement right now because we're working on independent living. I live here in my apartment with my brother, and she lives with her parents in Chapel Hill.
Right.
So, so what we want to get across is for her to move out from her parents and me to move out because she's more, even though she does lots of stuff independently, but she's by living with her parents, she's dependent on her parents, and
Sure.
and I'm semi-dependent. So we want to be completely independent and get to the point where we can sign our own lease together and live together.
That's awesome. What a neat thing to go for.
Yes, thank you. Emma, so if people want to learn more information or if there are more Down syndrome associations and want to be connected and and join DSAIA, where can they find you guys?
Well, two places. The best place is the website. That's DSAIA.org. And that's where you can find out kind of what we're doing, what's happening next. We have a great event calendar. We have a directory so you can look up Down syndrome associations around the country. And I think the second way, I just welcome people to email me directly. And it's Sarah, SARAH, at DSAIA.org. And I can help kind of navigate and connect you with resources that work best.
Thank you, thank you very much, Sarah Mulligan. I will be at the Dallas, Texas conference as an exhibitor booth, and I'm glad to see you there again.
I will be there. I'll look forward to seeing you as well.
Of course. Thanks everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed getting to know Sarah Mulligan a bit better. Stay tuned for the next episode of Matthew Schwab Listens.